If there's anything I've learned from this film, it is that you could return clogs at Starbucks if you have a receipt. Nestle owns Maybelline, and that's not even food. Not to name my kid Jessie, and tumble dry low. Dusty blue-green, a color that represents impracticality and idealism. Two very fitting descriptions for the relationship between Anna and Matt. Their unconventional friendship comes at a time where they both need it most, though they are both at completely different points within their lives. Together tells the story about loneliness and insecurity forming into a sense of togetherness, if that makes sense. The 2021 film, directed by Nikole Beckwith, explores the human essential need for love and monsters. Just kidding. Matt, played by Helms, is a mid-40s single aspiring father that attempts to cure his ever-longing sense of loneliness with a child he can call his own. Anna, played by Patti Harrison, is a 26-year-old college dropout that has lost most contact with the friends and family from before her first pregnancy. Both characters are missing massive parts of their lives that they seek to find through the surrogacy of the child. As they are essentially forced into a situation of closeness with one another, they luckily find that sense of together that they are craving to find. Also, if you haven't watched Together, this video will be full of spoilers because I'm basically going to do a scene-by-scene analysis of the film, so I highly suggest you all go watch the movie first before viewing this video. Thank you. At the beginning of the pregnancy, both Matt and Anna display different responses towards their new connection. Matt attempts to form a stronger bond with Anna through the gifts of a giant teddy bear, pregnancy tea, and clogs, but Anna is not really feeling it. At first, she displays a standoffish sort of attitude that seems very personal yet independent. Already, we get glimpses of who these characters are when they are left by themselves. Matt is seemingly desperate to find that missing piece of his life, while Anna knows that there is a missing piece in her life, but she does not have the priority really to fill it, and instead wants to keep living her current lifestyle. Funnily enough, I have in my notes an overanalyzed view on the clogs. I wrote that the clogs are a symbol of their friendship that she denies at first. Anna views the clogs as unnecessary and practically ugly to look at, which is the same response she first develops when their relationship first starts out. We then follow Matt into his more personal life, where he discusses his new pregnancy with his family, and this is where we first see his sense of feeling behind. His brother already has an entire family he takes care of and doesn't really give the kind of excited response that Matt was expecting from his big announcement. Matt's parents are even a little skeptical of this new development because it is not the traditional way of raising a child. Being a single father is taboo in most senses, but having a child through surrogacy is also sort of taboo by societal standards, so his situation is just piling on the tabooness, if that even is a word. His parents' enforcement of traditional normatives onto Matt have an underlying effect on his personality that I will get into later, but keep that in mind. At dinner, Matt and Anna are finally getting their first opportunity to meet each other and talk, but it ends up being filled with disgruntled and disapproving groans from Matt over the food choices that Anna makes. This shows Matt's overprotective nature about himself and can essentially function as a glimpse into how he would actually act as a parent. If you examine the age differences between the two, Anna could act as a test trial for Matt's parenting skills. Her youthful personality and need for guidance is sort of filled by Matt's older wisdom. Although she is carrying his child, he acts almost as a father figure, which I know sounds weird out of context, but it makes sense in this movie. During their first counseling session, Matt is taken aback by Anna's decision to not really tell anyone about the pregnancy. A quote that Anna says that I really like is where Matt and the counselor, played by Tig Notaro, discuss Anna's choice, and she responds with, "Am I supposed to act like I'm not here when you guys talk about me like that?" This is the first instance of Anna's feelings of invisibility and the detachment of the child from the mother, where the child is prioritized. There are many occasions of this throughout the film where she is completely ignored and not treated as a human person. Instead, she is looked upon just as a mouse tool they need now to birth the child, but to disregard later on. Not long after, another counseling session is called into place because Matt is concerned with Anna's personal affairs involving other men. His overprotectiveness shines through once again, and he becomes worried not only for the safe development of his own child, but also for the personal safety of Anna. I would also like to mention that during these counseling sessions, it is important to recognize that Matt writes down all of his notes on a pen and paper. This could be looked on as a display of his traditional style of living. Although he is an app developer that requires much technical skill, he chooses to avoid taking notes virtually, like on his Notes app or something. The second trimester is the section where I took the most notes because it is the period in which we truly see the rise and fall of Matt and Anna's platonic relationship. We begin with a simple conversation about Anna's future plans to finish college and move on with their life. Matt acts hesitant to have this discussion with her because of contractual agreements they were previously made. Matt is very by the book and doesn't like to stray away from what was already agreed upon, which could also be considered an occurrence of his safety and tradition in things that have already been established. Then, at a soon-to-becoming-a-parent social gathering, Matt's loneliness is further enforced. He is the only single soon-to-be parent there, and he has trouble making new friends with the other couples, leaving him to sit by himself. Matt's loneliness becomes manifested into the Loner app that he has developed. Just a reminder for those who have watched the film, the Loner app is basically Tinder where you get to swipe through people's profiles just to look at them. You could even add them to your favorites list, though they'll never know. It's a pretty weird app, but why do I actually see that actually succeeding in real life? Moving on to one of my favorite scenes of the film, Matt and Anna spend a few hours sifting through a bunch of color swatches to determine what color to paint the wall of the baby's nursery. One by one, they remove the different shades until they find the perfect one. Dusty Blue Green, as I've mentioned earlier. In the color book that Matt bought, Dusty Blue Green is described as impractical yet idealist, which I feel is a perfect description for their growing friendship. Impractical describes something that is not adapted for use of action, not sensible or realistic. Their friendship is impractical in the way that it is full of tabooality. She is the surrogate to a single father, straying very much from the traditional sense of parenting. It isn't impractical with the definition that it is impossible to accomplish. It is impractical with the definition that it does not conform to social standards. An idealist is a person who is guided more by ideals than by practical consideration. Matt is an idealist in the sense that he disregards the concerns that arise from impracticality and chooses to raise this baby on his own. During a Q&A, Nikole Beckwith, the director, described this movie as a romantic film about a platonic relationship, which is often rare to find. The final definition I would like to provide you with today is for the word romantic, which means conducive to or characterized by the expression of love. Most people assume romance only involves relationships that have an intimate connection between them, but that really is not true. Romance can take a more open-ended interpretation that it is between any type of special relationship between two or more people, whether it be intimate or completely platonic. The latter case is demonstrated in Together, where the couple is able to blossom into a close platonic relationship that does not need to transform into a more intimate one. There is no intimate attraction between the two characters, only friendly growth throughout the story. During their time together, they are able to watch the entire Friends series, which I know is very on the nose, but it still is very fitting for this film. While watching Friends, Anna and Matt have a conversation about their personal lives and why they feel as if they are stuck in the situation that they are currently in. Anna reveals that she does not have practically any close ties with any of her friends or family from before because of how disapproving they were of her with her first pregnancy and when she gave up that child for adoption. She feels as if the family only views her as good enough for pregnancy and nothing else. She says, "The only way they were going to be happy is if I was wildly unhappy," which I feel is very deep. She chooses not to sacrifice her own well-being that would bring happiness to others, which is very honorable. She prioritizes herself rather than what other people expect her to be, which is not bad at all. Matt reveals that he feels in the middle of those who are already settled with their own families and those who are desperately clinging to the corpse of their youth. He says, "People think I'm giving something up to do this, but I don't feel that way at all. I just feel like I'm pursuing this thing that I care about. It's weird to be perceived as hopeless in this moment when I'm actually incredibly hopeful." That last sentence really stands out to me. He doesn't view his single parenting lifestyle as a detriment or something that holds him back from moving on with his life. It sort of functions as another glass half full metaphor where he is excited for the child and the future he is about to have, rather than being upset over what is missing, such as another partner to help him through this journey of raising his first child. Their sense of unity with one another is suddenly halted over the disagreement over the revealing of the child's sex. Anna does not want to know the child's sex, whereas Matt is really adamant with knowing and being fully involved in the birthing process. This disagreement ultimately ends with Matt sacrificing his opportunity to find out the child's sex, but this is just a start of the sacrifices he has to make when it comes to raising a child. He's starting to realize that as a father, sacrifices must be made from himself, and he's not going to be able to know everything that happens, but he must continue to be supportive and loving. Without knowing the sex of the baby, Matt and Anna decide to call them by Lamp, to serve as a gender-neutral substitute name. I find that by tentatively naming the child Lamp, Matt and Anna remain the central focus of the story for the audience. Not to say that we shouldn't care about the baby, but we must realize that this is not the direct story about this child. It is Matt and Anna's story. In a store for baby essential needs, Matt begins a discussion between him and Anna, asking her to speak softly for the baby from now on. She pulls an Uno reverse card by asking him to just yell all the time. This could be written in just for jokes, but I feel this is significant in the way that it shows that mothers are always expected to do all the work when it comes to raising the children, while the fathers continue to live their normal lives. Women are expected to change all of their habits and attitudes in order to better serve the baby, but men are really not expected to do the same. This is the second instance of something like this happening in the film. The first being the scene where Matt disapprovingly groans at Anna's eating habits during the beginning of the pregnancy. Especially in their situation, Anna emphasizes to Matt that, "I only matter for the next 9 months or so, and you matter for the next 18 plus years. Yeah, if I were you, I would not be eating pasta and bacon." Of course, her actions do matter during the pregnancy, but so do his, and it is unfair that most of the pressure is being placed onto her when it comes to raising a child. At the baby store, Anna runs into her sister's friend and they talk for a while, and Anna lies and says that she isn't pregnant and is instead working in the store. She shows her shame in her current pregnancy and her previous pregnancy because she again feels as if her family views her as only good for birthing children and nothing else. Not long after this little reunion, Anna receives a call from her mother where she torments her with passive-aggressive statements and disapproving claims. What would seem like a time where Anna would normally choose to be alone, she does the opposite and goes over to stay at Matt's house. Her character development really shines through here because she defies what I expected her to do. She begins to open up and develop a sense of trust in the meaning of together, and Matt has helped her accomplish that. But also, she has helped Matt understand the true meaning of together as well. At his house, Anna discovers a bunch of parenting books that Matt bought, but they're all directed towards women, and he also has one book about priesthood. Besides the priesthood book, there are virtually no parenting books available that are written for men, specifically single dads. Matt even reveals that the only books for single dads only deal with single dads who have been divorced or widowed, which is not his case. He is simply choosing to raise a child on his own. Again, with the hypothesis that Anna essentially functions as a test trial child for Matt, she asks him what a period is. In turn, this leads to Matt simulating an explanation to his potential daughter about how to insert a tampon. Matt is seemingly mortified by this experience, but it is a necessary learning process he must go through if he becomes a father. Anna reinforces that he will remember this conversation forever because of how embarrassing it was, but it was essential to helping him grow up. Although he is older in age, he is still constantly learning and trying his best to become the father he would like to be. The second trimester ends with the throwing of a baby shower for Matt and the upcoming child. Many people are there to celebrate Matt and the child, but not Anna. Actually, Anna is mostly pushed to the side and completely ignored throughout the party, even though she is the one holding the baby. When Anna's existence is actually recognized, it is only to talk directly to the child growing in her body. The guests only make comments about the baby and not actually about her. Although she is physically connected to this child, they are two separate people, and the guests seem to only care for one over the other. This baby shower triggers Anna's feelings of loneliness once again. She realizes that her current strong connection that she has developed with Matt will soon come to an end when this child is born, and she is worried about that end. She also begins to develop the mindset that Matt only takes care of her out of a sense of pity, and because of the basic fact that she is holding his child. This insecurity results in a major argument between Matt and Anna after the baby shower over whether the two of them should be friends or not. It is difficult to develop a strong bond between the two of them for it to only end in a few months. This mindset that this is all temporary scares Anna and causes her to build back up her boundaries and barriers that she previously held at the beginning of the pregnancy. The built-again boundaries separate the two of them once again, and that sense of together has been destroyed, but not completely. At the Koala House Birth Center for Learning and Feeling, Matt and Anna have their relationship with each other sort of repaired. At least it's a step in the right direction. The more time they spend with each other, the closer and closer they become again. When the group session begins at the Koala House Birth Center for Learning and Feeling, they start off with a large deep breath that exhales with a loud moan, like a passive-aggressive scream, but not. When the other couples start doing this, Matt and Anna look around mortified yet wanting to laugh because of how obscene this seems. Again, this might just be written in as a joke, but I will overanalyze it like a high school English teacher talking about To Kill a Mockingbird and say that the reason that Matt and Anna don't also let out this psychedelic groan is because they automatically do not conform to this group. The chill, really laid-back birthing instructor goes through each group to find the 3 people involved with the birthing of the new children. When she questions Matt and Anna, Matt answers with, "She's not my partner, we're feminists," sorta implying in a strange way that it is just the 2 of them going through this process together. There is no third person involved in their situation, and eventually it will turn into one person being involved. During their group sessions, Matt and Anna receive compliments over how brave they are considering their circumstances. Both reply with thank you to the compliments, but they are unsure about who the compliments are directed towards. Closer to the actual birth, Matt and Anna lay next to each other discussing their love for one another. It is not love in a gross, cheesy way. They appreciate each other for all that they have provided for one another. Also, they each have sought hard to provide only the best for the other person. This is probably the peak of their friendship. It is finally time to give birth to the child. Matt and Anna go through the processes they learned together at the Koala Center, and finally her water breaks and they must rush to the hospital. At the bedside, while Anna is pushing the baby out, Matt spews out all of these words of encouragement to get her through this. They are really together in this moment. Once the baby finally comes out, the camera would normally move away from the mother to see the newborn child, but that is not the case in this movie. We hear the baby crying and Matt rushes to see the child, but the camera never moves. Instead, it stays focused on Anna as she is heavily breathing breaths of relief. Then the movie ends there. In my opinion, this is the most important shot of this film. It reminds us, the audience, that this is really not the story of the baby being born. It is a story about Anna and Matt. It also kind of serves the message to acknowledge the surrogates who have helped raise the children and not to disregard them as tools only needed during the pregnancy. People are not resources. People are people. Human beings can often be so malicious to each other once we begin to objectify other people. It isn't until we start to view each other as actual human beings that we can all truly become together. Together so far is my favorite movie to have come out this year. I think the way that this movie handles a platonic yet romantic relationship so well is something to marvel at. Patti Harrison and Helms give fantastic, very nuanced performances like none before. I love watching the journey their characters go on throughout the film and seeing actual character development take place. The fact that this movie took around 3 weeks to film entirely is fascinating to me, and I really appreciate all the work that was put into it from all the cast and crew. Especially from Nikole Beckwith. She wrote and directed this entire film on her own. Considering that this is her second feature film directorial gig, I think, she did an outstanding job, and I want her to win all the awards already because this film deserves it. This movie has become essential viewing in my opinion, and I love this movie so much that I literally started taking notes every single time I watched it. Thank you all so much for watching, and please send this to Nikole Beckwith so she knows how much I love her movie. Bye!